And with the way the Cowboys have been playing and their quarterback, I'm going to ask you this. Is Dak Prescott the MVP?
As of right now, I'll be honest with you. I'm buying the Dak Prescott MVP hype over the Brock Purdy MVP hype. And I know Brock's the MVP favorite right now. Here's what I'm saying. If I had a vote to give, as of right now, I think it's going to Dak Prescott. The resurgence of Brandon Cooks, how that offense is really flowing right now. And don't get me wrong, Brock is definitely very much responsible for what's going on over there in the 49ers. Just a little bit, perhaps more well-built, a few things that they have leaning their way that I like more. And I get it. If you're a Niners fan, you might say that sounds wrong. And you kind of could go both ways. Me personally, I'm just going Dak, especially with the jump he's made as opposed to last year. I was really on his case. I got to give credit where it's due,
He has 5 games left, and he has 3,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. The Cowboys are... I want to give props to the Seahawks. Let's start with the Cowboys, but before we do that, let's give props to the Seahawks for staying in this game in the way that they did. CeeDee Lamb, just ridiculous. Like, what a ridiculous receiver. CeeDee Lamb, and then on the other side of the ball, you have Deron Bland. Could the Cowboys possibly be making their argument for the 1 seed?
It's crazy because that's why I'm cheesing is whenever you start gassing the Cowboys, it's like things just go off the rails. That's why I say I'm going to keep going on the same trend I was going on last week. See, gassing Dak individually is different than gassing the Cowboys as a whole. I didn't fall into the trap yet. For the Cowboys' sake, genuinely, I'm not going to say anything. I feel like there's like this cosmic thing. You can't shift it. You can't I'm going to be respectful to the Cowboys, what they got going on. I'm not going to try to ruin it. All I'm going to say is, right now I'm impressed, and very potentially, could they come stay in that 1 seed? Oh, for sure.
Possibly. I mean, I think the thing with the Cowboys is they're clicking on all cylinders, like offense, defense. Like there's really like, where do you see the weakness?
So the only thing I want to talk about with the Cowboys at this point is, because you're right, like not the only thing, but let me rephrase that. The main thing where it gets interesting is because yes, they're hitting on all cylinders. Defense playing great, offense looks great. But I saw if they don't make a deep playoff run this year, Mike McCarthy potentially on the outs, Dan Quinn taking over. Now, interesting situation with how much the team is gelling right now. Just maybe I don't know. Maybe could that be not the best case scenario if they end up, because I mean, winning the playoffs is hard. It's
like, is it NFC championship or bust? Like, is that what they're talking about? Because my thing is like, I'm not saying Dan Quinn doesn't deserve another shot, but I don't know if Dan Quinn takes this team farther than Mike McCarthy does.
That's where it's like, yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe just hear me out. Maybe you just can't rush it. Like keep this process growing. But again, if you're a Cowboys fan, you also don't want to hear that shit because you've been so close for so long. Literally keep thinking you have the team. I get both sides of it. I definitely do, especially Jerry. Jerry's itching to get back in Lombardi land. I don't know, though. My personal opinion, maybe just don't mess with it right now. Especially, moreover, just maybe, why is that news breaking right now when things are like going so well?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, maybe it's to put, and this is coming from like the Cowboys camp too, like to either set a fire under Mike McCarthy or I don't know what it is. Jerry Jones runs his team in a very interesting way. Going to the other side of the ball, Geno Smith snapped this week, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception.
Yeah, definitely Geno's best game of the year. Definitely DK's best game of the year. 6 receptions, 134 yards, 3 touchdowns. DK been going crazy recently. And then I want to say JSN hitting his stride in this offense. 7 catches, 62 yards. JSN's definitely not anything explosive yet, but definitely starting to get his feet in. I feel like the first few weeks you were kind of like, a casual fan, you were kind of like, oh man, is JSN busting out? No, not at all. Just a few, injuries piling up on him. He had to recover, had to get his feet in, or not. What you get what I'm saying? He had to get his footing down, not his feeding. He had to get his feet on the ground though. And here he is. He looks good now. And you love to see it if you're a Seahawks fan.
Yeah. Also, the thing is with the defense, I mean, I know that it was a high-scoring game on both sides, but I feel like with the Seahawks, there's a lot more question marks than sure answers on defense.
So, no, and it's funny you brought this up because and here's where it's killing me. I couldn't find the exact statistic where I really wish I was able to, but it was something along the lines of ever since the Seahawks had traded for Leonard Williams earlier in the year, it's like they have like one of the, I don't want to say an exact number because I'm not sure. All I'll tell you is this. It was definitely 26th in the league was as high as it would be for like pressure rate. It was somewhere between 26th and 32nd. They're getting no pressure on the quarterback for whatever reason ever since they traded for Leonard Williams.
And it
it makes no sense.
It was crazy because, and I'm not saying the trade necessarily was bad, but I feel like that was a trade that was not knocked in the slightest by anybody.
No, time out. I'm going to sound uneducated here, but remind me again, because the deadline was so uneventful. I should have been able to keep up with this exact number.
Second and a fifth.
I would say, was it the compensation?
Second and a fifth.
Given where the Seahawks are at now,
they could have traded for Montez Sweat for a second.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely one of the worst plays of the season so far. And I think Leonard Williams is a bad player. He's absolutely not. But just for whatever reason, not working out the way that the Seahawks envisioned it, which is definitely, it really just makes no sense. Like trading for Leonard Williams and the pressure rate goes down. And I like it was already very high to begin with. It really doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, also the thing is like, I mean, to kind of wrap this game up, I want to say like this was actually like a very good game and it led into a week of exciting games.